Hey up and welcome to another episode of Ark. Oh, hold on. Oh, come on. Alright, hold on, here we go. There we go. So as I was saying, welcome back to another... Come. Oh my god. Well, at least they're not doing damage to me. My armor's too good for this. There we go. Well, before we were rudely interrupted twice now, welcome to another episode of Primal Fear. And this one's going to be a little different than the last few, as I've lost my audio for a good chunk of this, and all of my actual narration was gone. So you're going to hang out with me here now, and we're going to go through this video together. So what I wanted to do in this was get us some better tames, so we can move on to the next tiers. And I came across this here, Electric Griffin, and he is pretty cool looking. I really like the look of him. And he's electric, just like our other guy. So he's got the same sorts of moves with that lightning burst here that you see right there, which is just freaking beautiful. But he's a griffin. So while I don't really like griffins, they can do that. They can dive bomb for 14,000 damage and do a little bit of bursty hits. And in theory, they're pretty quick. So again, the reason why I like these electrics so much is that right there. So you hit them with the stun, and they're just on the ground. And if you look at the timer there, as soon as it runs out, I can do it again. So basically, you can stun lock anything that's susceptible to that thing, and you're gonna win. Which presents itself its own problem, because it basically makes the game a little too easy. Well, technically, there's no real threat here, even though the music is freaking cool. But I'm just not doing enough damage. And you may be wondering, why am I picking on a Primal Allosaur? Well, I get this wild hair butt, and I decide I want to try to make those tech dinos. And there are Primal Tek Dinos, and they require a ton of stuff. A lot of Apex blood to make lubricants and oils. You have to make hydraulics, and you have to have these freaking primal parts. And so I spent God knows how much time trying to kill this stupid thing. And I gave up on the electric thing, so I went to the gun. And 10,000 damage is not bad. But at this point, I only had like 200 bullets. And as you can see, the damage is just not scaling with the 12.6 million health this guy's got. So I'll be merciful to you guys in my editing process here, as I think this took me maybe a solid hour to kill this thing. So I'm going to cut this down, hopefully to a couple minutes. But you'll see, yeah, we move locations a few times. Clear out some Brontos. And there he is again. But again, we're flying, so there's no real... Well, he did get me there. So if you're not careful, there's a slight amount of risk. But really, the biggest risk I have is I just kept running out of bullets. And so I kept coming back here, having to grind up more stuff, come back. And in this case, I had like 600 more bullets. It took forever to make. But as you can see, I've only done 2 million damage to him so far. And the sun is already coming up. So anyway, I decided I definitely like the idea of staying on the ground, where there are threats that can really scare us a little bit, where we have to deal with the effects of the bad guys. And that means after we kill this guy, I'm going to try and make those tech dinos, and I want to see if we can find some kind of boss. So what I go looking for later on is a Apex of some type. So Apex Monkey, Apex Broodmother, Apex Dragon. Well, I decided not to go Dragon because I want to do Flyer. But Apex Dodo Rex. But what I come across is the old Broodmother. So if you voted for the Megapithecus earlier, well, sorry. Instead we get the creepy spider. But that's a little ways off, because we're still here shooting this stupid Allosaur. And as you can see by the high noon here, after only not even 4 million health is coming off of it, this was a long battle. So you're gonna have to tell me what you think of these post narrations, so I have some ideas of something I might do differently with the channel going forward. And I'll run that by you here in a second. But for now, you'll see I've got his health down to 4.2 million. But here, I run out of freaking ammo. So I called in backup. And Tiny was good enough to show up on his nasty Dodo Rex Wyvern. And he does some hurting on this thing. And I'm going to shut up because here in a second, the music times up perfectly to make this look super freaking epic. Get him set up. Here we go. Oh, freaking hallelujah, we finally got it. Oh, man. And as always, say thank you to your buddies. They're looking out for you, you gotta look out for them too. And we got our treasure trove here of Primal Blood. So that was what we were there looking for. And it paid off. So, this next bit here, I acknowledge the fact that it took for freaking ever. But here, you'll see some of the ingredients we need to make this thing. Hydraulics, we need freaking hearts, we need lubricants, and each one of these lubricants costing us an Apex blood. And tin oil, not that big of a deal. But there's a ton of them that go into those hydraulics as well. And I just kept running out. The servos were expensive. Like, this took me days to gather up the materials. But you don't have to watch that part. Instead, you get to just see me chuck it out here, and for some reason its body isn't fully formed. Don't know why. It's probably the same reason why I lost all my game sounds during this period, so I'll throw some music on over this to make sure it isn't super boring. But as you can see, he comes out of the box as a level 1, which was a bit disappointing. And he really wasn't doing much damage. I mean, he was doing 5,000. It was nothing terrible. But when I leveled him up, he only got 232 hit points whenever I leveled up his health. So I guess he's just like a Giga. Don't level up that. So we went to melee for the next one. And wow, 0.7%. So this is going to be a little tough to build up and to make this one good. And so there are some saving graces. There's some stuff we can do to fix that problem. And as you can see, yeah, leveling up a little bit did help. He does some better damage. But the big ones are these things require boosting by modules. And you see we're talking here in the chat about putting some on. And it so happens that Shorty had a couple just to demonstrate. And so he brought me the hit point one that gave 400% more health. And he brought me the melee one that increases melee damage by 400. And there's a big difference. 38 grand is a good hit. And the health pool is massive. And this is still a level 1. And you can also get shields that you can toggle on and off, and a bunch of other stuff. Speed boost, weight increaser, and there are 8 module slots you can put on. So they're all incredibly expensive, but I think we're going to do that. And in the meantime, while we get those materials, I got us a Grifficorn. And this little dude's pretty handy, mostly as a shoulder pet, because it does that. And so randomly when you're fighting, it'll throw that aura on, and that's a healing buff. And so it'll heal your team and yourself, and that's going to be a big part of what gives us success going forward in fights like this against an Alpha Indominus Rex that goes down like a sack of bricks. So back on that topic about the Tek Giga, one of the things that's really interesting about it is to get better ones, you have to find blueprints. And you find blueprints by killing the Primal Tek Dinos themselves. And they'll drop a variation of their own blueprint. So that's another fun little project we can have. Go out there searching and finding those and building the best tech animals that we can. And in the future, we'll have to build a new base to accommodate all these techie things that don't really go with the aesthetic of any of the places we have so far. But in the meantime, here we got something more pressing, and this is an upgrade. So an Apex Broodmother, yeah, it's only level 120, but it's coming out of the gate with 2.6 million health. And as you can see, it is a tough critter. And we had to take its health down to about where we are right now to get it to be able to be tameable. So at this point, I got it down low enough, I could start using I think I'm using Apex arrows at this point in my Primal Compound Bow. Let's see what actually showed up in the chat. Oh, it didn't say. But those are supposed to be the most potent tranking element we have in the game, next to the Origin Bullet, which is, of course, a one-shot. And you can see I'm doing little bits. And it took a long time because I had to generate, what, 2.5 million torpor? And I think I was doing like a couple 10,000s. And yeah, I start chewing through those arrows real fast. So I'll show you some of the highlights of some of my nice shooting here. Right over the rock, like it ain't no thing. Just start calling me Hawkeye. And now, of course, it is a gigantic, gigantic boss creature. And every once in a while, it spooked me like this, where it would look up at me like it was going to throw those green poison balls at me. And I wasn't sure if it can climb the wall or not, so I was playing it a little safe. We did a little bit of hit and run here and there, trying to get it to move in better spots to get shot. And then eventually I kind of got it stuck. And as you can see, that makes it pretty freaking easy to deal with. It is just a matter of grinding it down. So, speaking of grinding it down, I've got like probably 12 hours of random footage of just going around, killing stuff, finding cool things. And most of it's going to end up in this episode in its shortened format. Some of it I'm going to use for the next episode, which is going to be how we get an even cooler team than this. One that I don't even know where we're going to put. And then after that, we're going to start working on our big projects. One of those big projects is to go around and see exactly which bosses we can beat. Because this whole mod is about progression. And yes, we are upgrading. But some of that progression hits a brick wall. We'll get the biggest thing you can get. And then we start having to use better and better tactics. So if you remember a few episodes back when we dealt with that, what was it? The demonic Empress, whatever she was. That's the tier 3 boss. And I don't think we could solo that thing, even on this Apex Broodmother. But the tier 2 bosses are summonable Origin Dinos. And if you've watched Voxesto's videos recently, he's taken out the penguin, and I think he's gearing up to take out the raptor. I took my cue from him and decided to try it myself here once we got a nice tame. And, well, I'll let you watch that video to see how we do. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that experience quite a bit. And as you can see here, we've got our Apex boss tribute down. And we got it fed up, and look at that ugly, ugly SOB. Beautiful. One of the nice things I found out is she doesn't use oxygen. And actually, I'm not sure if it's a she or if it's he. I think I got a he. So, we're going to need names for this one. And since it just breaks stuff just by walking, and it's big and red, if it is a male, I'm thinking of calling it the Kool-Aid Man. So, I mean, look at this thing. Like, I feel like anytime you do that, you should just yell, "Oh, yeah." So, I mean, look at that. There is no kitchen wall that's going to survive that. So anyway, the left click was a slap. Right click appears to be summoning these little spiders, which I had hopes they'd be kind of good, but they're real slow, and I think they just hit once because that's all that thing could take. But this right here is the move that really makes this tame cool. And initially I thought it sucked because I just couldn't hit with it. And see here, I get real point blank and I just keep shooting in the ground. But it turns out, if you look straight in the air, you can hit with it. And right now it's only doing 76 grand. I say only, that's still a pretty big number. But when it levels it up, it gets pretty good. And just like a shotgun with really terrible accuracy, the spread on that, if you can catch something with multiple hits, they do multiple loads of damage. So if you get point blank with something, you can really shred them. So with that in mind, I opted to go with a fair amount of health. I wanted to get up to about 5 million there. I think I actually take it up a little higher here in a second, but then I cranked up the melee. I just went insane with it, and it pays off. It pays off real good. I'll show you here in just a second. So now we're doing 54 grand with the slap. The little guys, we'll show here in a second on this rhino. Just spit him out there out of the back end, all gross-like. Let's give him a little love tap. So, not spectacular, 1,460, but there's a lot of them. But here's a demonstration of how this the green thing can work. Look at that, 108 grand. Just clear in the sea. So it's really just about figuring out how to hit with this stupid thing. And the other thing I was kind of curious about is how far they would travel. So I try to keep up with them here. And they go a fair distance, actually. And then really, from there on out, it's just a matter of trying to get stuff. So before I run out of time in this video, I want to make sure I touch base on what I'm planning on, maybe doing in the future. I want to bring you guys into my Twitch channel, my group channel. And so I'm thinking about streaming my recording sessions. And so that would be where you get the raw experience of the episode, of like all the oh shit moments and all the outtakes, mistakes, and just the long form, along for the ride kind of thing. And I was thinking about simultaneously recording it so that I can still do what I'm doing here, giving you a nice edited, cleaned up version, and do kind of like a post narration like I'm doing now. So really, you know, give you a little option. So those would live here on our channel. The other part would be over on the Twitters, over at the Tabletop to Keyboard channel. And if you like that idea, please tell me in the comments. I'd be happy to hear it. If you are seriously against it, kind of like this plan here of fighting multiple bosses simultaneously and noping the hell out of here, go ahead and let me know you don't really like that idea. And we'll make some adjustments and decisions based on that. And one of those is to turn tail and run, like a smart individual here. So next episode, I'm going to show you something huge and amazing. Till then, stay frosty.